Welcome back to 2017 when Carrie and I recorded a bunch of stuff about the first season of Riverdale for Patreon backers. So if you're Sarah Redacted, you've already heard this and you can skip it. I hope the rest of you listen to it and enjoy it though. Let's see what we said.
I know you think she's sweet as candy. I know you wanna be with her. But Josie got a reputation to scratch behind that fur.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Midnight Ride of Paul Riveredale, where we talk about the CW TV show Riverdale. I'm Jake.
I'm Carrie.
And today we're going to talk about, what are we talking about, Carrie?
We're talking about Riverdale Chapter 6, Faster Pussycats, Kill, Kill.
So we really appreciate y'all donating to the Patreon. And we'll be giving you shout outs in a future episode of our own podcast, Love You Like Crazy, where we talk about young adult fiction. But for now, I think we should just jump right in and talk about this episode.
So there's a few different story arcs going on. Would you like to talk about them?
Shall we talk about Jughead and Betty, amateur sleuths?
So that's one of the big story arcs, is the Jughead and Betty, amateur sleuth. Then there's the variety show, and then Parents Gone Wild.
Yeah, I have things to say about all those things.
So let's start off with Nancy Drew.
Yeah. So I liked the fake out at the beginning. So Betty invites Jughead over for breakfast.
So, Jughead, I suppose we have you to thank for Betty's ongoing obsession with his Jason Blossom ghoulishness.
Actually, Mom, I was the one who asked Jughead to help me write it for the Blue and Gold.
Relax, Betty. I'm just making conversation.
Betty and Jughead exchange a glance.
Do you guys have a bathroom I could use?
Sure, I'll show you.
And the mom is suspicious and...
No, I'll show him. Follow me. Jughead.
And then Betty takes the opportunity to go through her mother's purse and take pictures of her checkbook.
I think it was her checkbook.
So what year is Riverdale set in? That's my question to you, Carrie.
Well, it's 2017 currently, and my mother still writes in a checkbook.
Oh, okay.
Like, she still balances her checkbook, even though she doesn't use checks. So it's possible that she's just another old-fashioned lady.
Okay. I accept that.
So I was not, like, I did not even, like, bat an eyelash with that.
Anyway, what does she find in the checkbook?
Well, she finds out that a bunch of checks have been written, or a bunch of money has been given to the, what is it called?
The Sisters of Quiet Mercy.
And then they're like, what's the Sisters of Quiet Mercy?
How do they find out, Carrie?
Well, they look on Sleuthster.
Yeah. America's favorite search engine.
And they find out that it's a home for wayward children.
Home for troubled youth.
Yes.
And it has the most... Its slogan is something else.
Do tell.
Where disenfranchised teens will learn such virtues as discipline and respect, enjoying lives of quiet reflection and servitude.
That's something that
Poor Polly.
maybe you want to print in the small font on your website.
No. It's in all big letters. And I'm just sort of wondering, like, okay, so this is 2017. And as far as I know, Riverdale isn't exactly stuck in a time warp, because they all seem to know, like, current pop culture references.
Yeah.
But what the fuck is a place like the Sisters of Quiet Mercy doing, existing at all?
Yeah, I don't know that these sort of Catholic homes for wayward youths, it seems it's out of a movie. I don't know, like, maybe they do exist in real life, but they seem like something that would have gone out of style 40 years ago.
Yeah, you heard about them in, like, maybe the 50s and 60s, but, like, now? I don't think so. I mean, they do have, places for wayward youths. I've heard about, like, wilderness camps that they send, kids to, but that shit ain't run by nuns. It's just run by crazy people.
Yeah. And I mean, there is like this history of Catholic kind of orphanages where women in Polly's position are encouraged to give up their children so the orphanages can essentially sell them to the highest bidder.
Did you just give out a spoiler? I think you did.
Yeah, well, I did.
You did, but you know what?
Yes.
We guessed it. We knew it last week, you know.
That's true. We kind of spoiled this last week.
So, you know, in my...
Or 2, yeah.
Yeah, whenever it was, you know, because I was like, oh, Polly's at the Sisters of Quiet Mercy because she's pregnant, way pregnant. And then like way later in my notes, yep. And my favorite part about the whole Sisters of Quiet Mercy is where Polly was hanging out.
In a garden that is mysteriously in a completely different climate than the rest of the building.
It's called, though?
Polly's room is right this way. Though right now it's silent reflection time, and she usually spends that time in the Garden of Deliverance.
The Garden of Deliverance.
Yeah, that's pretty on the nose.
That was my favorite. And I was like, oh, they made it to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy. Oh, she's at the Garden of Deliverance because she's pregnant. Oh, look, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So everything pointed to knocked up, and oh, spoilers, she is.
Yeah, that's a real round baby belly she got there.
Yep, that's a thing.
And she did not know what to do it. She was rubbing it all the time.
Constantly.
Yeah, it's funny. Like they go to a commercial break and then they come back to a shot of the front of the building where it's nighttime and pouring, and then they cut to the garden where it's like so nice out.
I know, it's like nobody needs a coat.
Oh, and Polly reveals, okay, so she's pregnant with Jason's child. Duh.
Yeah.
And she fills in a little backstory, which is that she and Jason were going to run off on the 4th of July because, like, pick a day when your parents have off of work. That's really a good idea. And so she went down in the morning to go to the river to meet up with him, and her parents were there, and they knew everything. Now, they don't actually say within the episode, but what would your guess be as to how they know everything?
Oh, they read it in the diary.
Yeah, we can only assume that Polly keeps a diary the same as Betty does.
Yeah, so the whole family is like lousy with written secrets. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
If everybody just learned some goddamn runes.
Yes, runic, or I would also accept storing things in the cloud encrypted.
Either way. I mean, because if the mom had just not written down in her checkbook, Sisters of Quiet Mercy repeatedly, like maybe they wouldn't have known where Polly was. Or maybe Polly could have not written it in her diary. And Betty, it's like, y'all, Betty's family, no more diaries.
No. So Polly says they were going to meet, and she reveals in this slightly heartbreaking, if ridiculous scene that she doesn't know that Jason's dead.
Yeah, because her parents are shitheads.
And she says,
I can fix this, Betty. I know I can. You just have to help me get out of here, and then I'll go to meet him. I'll go to the car on the Lost Highway off of Route 40. Once you pass the old maple syrup sign, then you'll know you're almost there. See, I remember.
The Lost Highway?
We've met before, haven't we? I don't think so. At your house, don't you remember? No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I'm there right now. That's crazy, man. Call me.
They're meeting in a David Lynch film?
Well, I think that's what they're trying to go for in general. So, yes.
Oh, with all the wolves' heads and things?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to talk about that. We're going to have to talk about that.
We have to talk about a lot.
Oh, my God, there's so much. Yeah, so she doesn't know, and Betty tells her, and obviously she cries, and then, you know, what should happen? But the nun comes by, and she's like, you have to come with me now. And the Sister of Quiet Mercy is terrifying.
Yeah.
And she locks Betty in a room, and Betty's mom shows up. And
what are you doing here?
I pay the sisters good money. You think they don't notify me if Polly gets a visitor?
I don't know. Maybe I thought that they weren't shitty people, but it turns out they are.
Yeah, they...
Everyone's a shitty person here, especially Betty's mom.
And her dad, I think.
Her dad's pretty awful. I mean, they tell Betty that, you know, your sister's crazy. You know, none of this is true. There's no car. There's no nothing. Like, she's delusional. Betty's like, sounds pretty logical to me. Oh my gosh, this is not normal. A parent shouldn't be like this.
Yeah. Betty figures out that her dad broke into the sheriff's home.
Well, she suspects it, but he doesn't admit to it.
Yeah, but she's right.
Of course she's right. We know that from the end of the last episode. But she doesn't know it for sure. She just said, hey, you weren't there. Did you do it? And he's like, how could you ever suspect me of doing that? I am a fine, upstanding citizen. I totally did it, motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and the fact that I don't really see exactly how she deduced that didn't detract from my enjoyment of that scene because obviously Betty's parents are shitheels, and it's fine with me if there's a little bit of magical reasoning to let her get the upper hand on them.
Mm-hmm.
Then she accuses him of killing Jason, and Betty's mom.
Oh my God, she's the worst.
Did you kill Jason Blossom?
Is she crying?
I believed it.
Him? You think that he killed Jason? Your father?
He's awful.
You think that he has the stomach for that?
Alice.
I wish he'd killed Jason. I wish I had.
That's a weird thing to wish about your husband.
Yeah, but you know what? We're just gonna go with it because she's awful.
But she says that neither of them did it, though.
But she says that.
Well, right.
But I mean, there's a lot of incriminating evidence. Speaking of incriminating evidence, Betty and Jughead find the car.
They sure do. Hey, you know what they mentioned?
What?
That they're getting their fingerprints all over everything.
They sure did.
What are those?
Drugs. Betty.
Wait, Jughead, put it down. This is evidence. This is all evidence.
Crap. This whole car is a crime scene.
But it doesn't matter. So okay, y'all. I was thinking that Jughead, was sort of not into anybody, but it turns out he's into Betty. So he climbs up into Betty's room and he's like, hey, Betty, what's up? I know you're sad. Let's make out. And they're middle of making out. And she pulls away and goes, oh, the car. And so, it's dark and it's raining and they go off into the woods to find the maple syrup sign.
Yeah. Can I say two things about that kiss?
Yes.
Okay. So that kiss made a number of people very angry. Because in the current series of comic books, Jughead is asexual, like he identifies as asex. So the fact that they made him heterosexual in the TV series made, many people, particularly those who themselves identify as asex, aromantic, really angry, which I think is totally legit. And, representation is important and all. But I appreciated that Jughead, isn't mad when Betty, is doing deductions in the middle of their making out. He thinks it's cute. He thinks it's kind of adorable, clearly. And it's part of what he likes about her. So I kind of I like that about that scene.
And they go off as Nancy Drew and Ned Nickerson. They go off and they find the car.
Yeah, so they look in the car and all of Jason's clothes are in it, which someone would have noticed they were missing, I would think. Or maybe they did notice and they just haven't mentioned on the TV show. Anyway, lots of clothes and also plastic boxes filled with things that I had trouble identifying, but which Betty and Jughead instantly recognize as drugs.
It's just a brick of weed.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You're welcome.
I will ask no further questions. Thank you.
I've seen enough TV. I know what this shit is.
Okay. Apparently I haven't. Okay. And then we get a camera shot that makes it seem like someone is watching them as they go through this car in the rain.
Yes.
And they are like, this is a crime scene. So what do?
They take lots of pictures and touch everything.
Well, yes. And then what did they do after that?
They go find Sheriff Keller.
We need to get Sheriff Keller, and then we need to get Polly.
Yeah, where is Sheriff Keller, by the way?
Where do you think he is? He's at the school.
Of course. Where else would he be?
Well, because everybody in town is at the high school because the high school is having a variety show. And this whole town has no life. And they're all there at the same time.
Yes, and he's wearing his sheriff, I want to say costume or outfit.
Uniform?
That's the word I'm looking for.
Well, okay.
So I guess he's on duty.
His son's the MC.
That's true.
So you think you might want to see his son. His son may or may not be performing. We didn't see anything from Kevin other than just him MCing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, maybe that's why Sheriff Keller was at the school. I don't know. My other question is that where Jughead is living now?
I don't know. I was going to ask you where you thought Jughead was living.
I think he might be living at the school. That's what I wrote in my notes because at the very beginning of the episode, Jughead it was like early in the morning and he's typing on the typewriter or something. It's like, is he living in the blue and gold office?
Yeah, I kind of wondered that too.
Okay. So we're in agreement that Jughead is living at school like everybody else in town.
Yes. I mean, it saves time because that's where everyone is most of the time anyway. So Sheriff asks where the car is and they take him to the car and what's going on there?
Well, I assumed that the car just wouldn't be there when they get back, but the car was there. It was just fucking on fire.
Yeah.
The car is ablaze.
Breathe deeply, kids.
Polly's gone.
Polly's gone. Yes, that could be a pun of some kind if we thought about it long enough.
I guess so.
Yeah, she broke out of the
Sisters of Quiet Mercy.
Yeah. She broke out. There's blood on the glass in the window. And that's how the episode ends.
Yeah. So that is story arc number 1. There's a couple other story arcs. Well, the name of this episode is Faster Pussycats Kill Kill.
Yes.
So, as you might guess, there's a lot of Pussycat action.
Let's see. Where does that start out?
So that starts out with Archie trying out for the talent show.
Archie Andrews?
Each fall, Riverdale High hosts a variety show. But this event is no mere student frolic.
And what will you be auditioning with?
An original song that I wrote called I'll Try.
Try harder. Maybe try not sucking so much.
What is the football team doing at the tryouts?
Well, they're all heckling him and wearing wolf masks. Earlier in the episode, Archie is digging through his drawers looking for a guitar strap and he finds a wolf mask. And he looks at it and he sort of shudders and throws it aside and grabs the guitar strap.
Mm-hmm.
And later, he's trying out and he's getting stage fright. And the football team is heckling him and he looks up and they're all wearing this wolf mask. And it's never explained
what that symbolizes.
Like, it must symbolize something. He had this wolf mask in his drawer. So obviously there are some negative emotions. And I'm like, if you decide to tell me what this is in 2 or 3 episodes or never, it's too late. Like, you needed to tell me this episode what this meant because you keep calling back to it. But you're not telling me why it freaks him out, other than, oh, it's sort of freaky to see a bunch of guys wearing wolf masks.
Yeah, freaky and maybe a little hilarious in certain ways.
I would probably pee my pants laughing. Granted, it does not take much to get me to pee my pants, y'all. I had a baby.
Good to know.
You're welcome. But it's just ridiculous. Like, if a bunch of football players are sitting in the back of an auditorium like, you suck, Archie, I would just laugh. That's funny. But no, he's all freaked out. And wah. He's not going to be in the talent show, except he totally is because Veronica pulled strings.
Oh, yes. Veronica calls herself a Veronica Ex Machina.
She does. So at least they're all agreeing that this is ridiculous.
But Archie isn't sure he wants to perform because he feels like if he just plays solo, he'll freeze up again. So he wants to have someone on stage with him.
So Veronica offers, and he's like, yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. I think did he ask Val? I think he asked Val first, but Val.
What if we sang I Got You?
Archie, I'm a pussycat. We're headlining the variety show.
What if you sang with them first and then me? Just this once. To help me get my sea legs.
Have you met Josie?
Yeah, Josie will murder my face. And that's not happening. So he's like, okay, that's cool. So he's supposed to sing with Veronica, and then...
So then we go to a Pussycats rehearsal, and Josie is like kind of freaking out about the whole variety show thing. Yells at Val for screwing up, but except actually it's Josie that's screwing up.
And Val's like, fuck y'all, I quit.
Yep. She rips off her cat ears and she throws them down.
She does. And now she's free. She's free to sing with Archie and completely fuck over Veronica.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
You are unbelievable, Archie. You literally have zero loyalty. You ginger Judas.
Okay, Ronnie, what's wrong?
What's wrong, Archie? Besides the fact that you have no integrity whatsoever.
So now Veronica is like...
Your hunt for a new pussycat is over. I can sing, and I've got a lot of aggression that needs channeling into something positive.
And I was not buying it at all. Like, I didn't buy it from beginning to end, but whatever.
I have kind of two things to say about that.
Yeah.
One is, I was in a band in high school, and the level of drama displayed in this episode is completely believable. So that I buy. In one of the bands I was in, the guitar player hurt his hand because he punched through a window in the bass player's house during a rehearsal, which is a good way to make yourself not be a guitarist anymore for a while.
Yeah, that's smart.
So the other is that nobody that Veronica volunteers to sing with has her try out or has any idea what her voice, like her singing voice is like, or if she can carry a key or anything. It seems to be a real situation where she's like, no, I'm awesome. And everyone's like, okay, fine. I believe that. Which I, that's just another example of rich white privilege in Riverdale, I have to say.
Yeah, the Pussycats, anyway, sorry.
Also, I love that Luke Perry.
Hey, I just want to let you know I bought tickets for all the guys at work to come see you in the variety show.
And Archie, of course, is afraid that he's just going to make an idiot of himself in front of everyone. And, that seems like a parent meaning well, but making things worse situation that I liked.
Yeah, I was like, Luke Perry, do these dudes really want to go to a high school variety show?
Of course they do. Josie and the Pussycats are playing.
If everybody loves Josie and the Pussycats so much, why are they still playing the Bolorama? I don't know.
Well, fair enough. Archie tells Val, like...
I can't wait to sing it with you in public. But just not tonight. Val, you should play with the Pussycats. I don't want to be the guy that broke up the Beatles.
Like, don't make her decisions for her, dude.
Yeah. I mean... She definitely wanted to be with the Pussycats, but that's still her decision to make. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, that's not the way to go about that.
You can talk to her. You can ask her feelings. Hey, it seems like you might want to be a Pussycat. Do you, how do you feel about this? What decisions do you, as an individual with agency, what do you want to do?
But I think the main thing that happens here that convinces her to go back to the Pussycats is Archie reveals, which he found out from a thing that we'll talk about another time, maybe, or not at all, doesn't really matter, that Josie's dad is going to be at this performance, and he's some kind of legit jazz dude, aka a total douchebag.
Such a douchebag!
And Val quit. Or should I say we were Yoko Ono'd.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. She was the real deal. Gave your act some much needed integrity.
And she really wants to impress him, and that's why she's been freaking out so much.
Yeah.
So Val goes back and makes nice with Josie.
I suppose there's always room for one more kitty in my litter box.
And there was the best product placement ever while she was making up with Josie. So now Josie's sitting in front of the mirror, doing her makeup and all that stuff. And she's holding up her mascara, which all of a sudden gets into focus. So Lashy by Maybelline.
Ka-ching.
I've never, beyond reality TV show, have I ever seen such blatant product placement.
So the Pussycats perform, and it's the four of them.
Mhm.
The drummer, who appears to be the sanest person in the band.
That's Mel.
And Val and Josie and Veronica is also performing with them.
Yeah.
So there's all four.
And she looks so awkward in comparison to them. Like she looks like she just learned the dance moves. And I guess, technically she did just learn the dance moves. But she just looks uncomfortable on stage. I was like, why are you wanting to be a pussycat in the first place when obviously you can't do this? She just looked really uncomfortable there.
Yeah. And Josie's dad walks out in the middle of the performance.
So Josie, it was like towards the end of the performance, because then Josie got to turn around and start crying at like the very end of the song.
Yeah. So I have a theory about parents on this show.
Do tell.
Based on what we've seen, I feel that the recipe for building a lasting relationship and marriage is for both of you to be the worst.
Sounds legit.
Because I feel like every time we see someone where one of their parents, because we usually don't meet both of them yet in these cases, where we meet one parent who seems kind of okay, the parents are not together.
Well, there's only two families with both parents, right?
There's the Coopers.
And the Blossoms.
Oh, no. Josie's parents are together.
Oh, they are. And they're the worst.
Maybe it's not such a bad thing to try a new voice. A different sound. You know how your father feels about pop music.
But it's not pop music this time.
Well, he's catching a red eye and missing 2 concert dates to see you in this variety show. I would hate for you to let him down.
I understand, and I won't.
Good, because if you do, he will somehow blame me.
I think you're right. I think divorce is the only way to go.
Yeah. Or just resigning yourself to being a horrible person and making your kids miserable.
Josephine? I didn't know that was your real name.
After Josephine Baker. You have no idea who that is, do you?
Yeah, so we do find out a little bit more about Archie's mom. She's not dead!
She isn't. No. She's out there someplace.
Where she is, we don't know. Like, she doesn't go to his fucking variety show. She doesn't show up to any of his games. She's not in his life at all. And I'm like, oh, okay, but she's alive. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so there are 2 very unbelievable things in this whole plot line about the music.
Yeah.
One is that Archie would not have heard of Bob Dylan.
I wrote that down.
Whatever happens at that show, or any show, whether you go up there and kill it or you bomb like Electric Dylan at a folk concert,
I'm not sure who that is.
Like, he's dumb, but he's not that dumb.
I believe I wrote down that he was, and I quote, a fucking chode.
Well, yes. And the other is that Kevin, who I guess put together the variety show and figured out the order of the acts, I would never put a solo acoustic act on after a rock band. That I would not do.
Well, I would think if they're headlining that they're closing the show.
That's also, that's pretty much what that means. That's a good point.
We're headlining the variety show.
What if you sang with them first and then me? Just this once.
And that is not how you do things. Even, and I know Kevin's just a high school kid. I knew this in high school.
Yeah. Well, I just came up with a theory, so let me run this by you.
Okay.
So, I read, there's a blues guy named Dave Van Ronk, and he wrote an autobiography, which I read. And in it, he describes how the folk music scene kind of got started in the Village in New York City back in, I guess, the 40s, 50s. And basically what it was that there were these coffee houses that would have poetry readings. And they were perhaps surprisingly, they were big money for the coffee shops. Like the poets, people would come in to see the poet read. And the problem was that they would come in, and then they would just want to stay the whole night and see all the poets and maybe drink 1 cup of coffee. So the owners of these clubs wanted to get people to leave. And so what they would do is they would put folk musicians on between the poets. And people hated folk music so much that they would clear out and you'd get a new crowd in who would then spend more money. So perhaps this is just like, okay, you've heard the thing you want. Now everyone leave. Here's this terrible folk music.
But they all stayed and they all loved him.
Yeah.
And even the Wolf Boys cheered him on at the end. So I don't know how. I mean, as for TV purposes, I guess that worked, but in real life, that is not okay.
Yeah. So there was one thing about this that was touching to me. So Archie is talking to Veronica, and like he apologizes for screwing her over in terms of singing with him, as well he should. That was a total asshole move. And she, I think, apologizes for flipping out at him. And she said, and he talks about how scared he is to go out and make a fool out of himself in front of everyone.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah. Well, do you want to say it?
So she says, just look out into the audience. It's someone who makes you feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets up on stage and he's got his guitar and he looks super nervous.
Yep.
And he looks at his dad.
Mm.
And his dad is his safe place.
Yeah.
And that was really fucking sweet.
It really was.
Aw.
I think whenever I'm scared, I'll think of Luke Perry, and maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll work for me too.
I think you should. And Luke Perry is an earnest motherfucker.
Yeah.
He is really an earnest guy. And at some point, we're going to need to talk about the parents.
Yeah. Shall we do that now?
Might as well. So in this episode, a lot of kissing happens.
Yes.
A lot of different kissing happened. Jughead kisses Betty. Archie kisses Val. And Luke Perry kisses Veronica's mom.
Yes.
Like Wicked kisses Veronica's mom.
Yeah, like making out.
Like Wicked making out. And now Veronica's mom is still married.
They're both still married.
Technically, I think Luke Perry isn't. I think they're separated, but technically married.
Yeah.
And it's not like his wife is anywhere nearby unless she's in prison too.
Yeah, we don't know, but probably not.
So there's a lot of making out. So we find out because Veronica's mom is doing his books now. That's what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
That he's like broke as fuck. That he's got like, he can pay his guys like for 3 more weeks and that's it. They're done. And he's like, oh, but I hope I get this contract. I really want to get this contract. And she's like, oh, well, let's talk to the mayor.
Yeah.
Because obviously he doesn't know that, one of the buyers is the lady what he makes out with.
Yeah. And her husband, which is awkward.
Super awkward. So he has no idea that they're the mystery buyers. So he's like, well, they're working through the mayor. So I want to talk to the mayor. I want to have a presentation with the mayor. And she's like, I'll be your wingman and we'll have dinner at my place.
Yeah.
Because my place is nicer. Wow, you're shitty.
Yeah, she is a little shitty.
A little shitty.
And also, once again, people are making out in front of windows. I don't know why people do this.
Because it looks really good on camera.
Yeah, maybe it runs in the family too, like Fred and Archie. Anyway.
So then we have this big dinner where he's going to talk to the mayor, who is Josie's mom. And so like everybody is at this dinner. It's Archie, it's Josie, it's the parents. Like everybody in fucking town is at this table. And it's awkward. Question for you. Have we had a meal on this show that is not awkward?
I don't think so.
Because last week we had a meal at the Blossoms and that was super awkward.
Yeah, that was very awkward.
Thank you for having me.
Cheryl invited you. I have no idea why you're here.
We had breakfast at Betty's house. That was really uncomfortable.
So, Jughead, I suppose we have you to thank for Betty's ongoing obsession with this Jason Blossom ghoulishness.
We've had about 1 million meals at Pop's because that's the only restaurant in Riverdale, apparently.
They only want to build how many sets?
And those tend to end kind of unexpectedly and awkwardly as well.
Be sure to put all that cash in the register. You are a lodge, after all.
And lodges are known to have sticky fingers.
Yeah, so anyway, I just thought of that. Like, does anybody just have a nice meal in town, or does everyone just have to be brooding and snarky?
Yeah, that we could rank, like, what are the worst meals? I guess.
I think so far, Dinner at the Blossoms is going to win hands down.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All day, every day.
There are worse things in prison.
Like this dinner party.
What did you say?
That was the worst.
But this one is pretty bad. The one with the mayor and her husband, that's pretty terrible.
You know what would have been worse, though?
What?
The meal at the funeral.
Oh my God. That's true.
I think we'll adjourn now to the winner's salon for a light supper.
La-da-da. Anyway,
Maple ham.
Maple. There's so much. Every episode they mention something maple.
Yeah. I still think it's funny. Eventually I'll stop thinking it's funny, but for now I still do.
I mean, every single episode, something maple. This one, it was the maple syrup sign.
Once you pass the old maple syrup sign, then you'll know you're almost there. See, I remember.
Anyway, so it was a really uncomfortable thing where Josie's dad finds out that she's going to be doing the performance, and he's kind of mad.
Yeah, with Veronica.
And then he's like, but you need Val.
She brings authenticity to the act. What an asshole.
Why would you say that to your daughter?
Because you're an asshole.
And then Ernest Luke Perry gives his little spiel about how awesome he's going to do at building this thing. And the mayor is all like, I'm going to give you this contract, or at least I would if I could.
It's another fucking reality show thing.
Yeah, like, oh, here's the rose. No, you don't.
Nope. I would give you this rose, except there's someone I like even better. I haven't seen The Bachelor ever.
Neither have I, but I'm going to assume that you're absolutely correct.
I'm sure that's how they do
I think it probably is. Because I watch other reality TV shows. I watch a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race, and there's always the, the well-timed pause to make you, wonder who's going to be sent home.
I used to watch a lot of Project Runway.
I loved Project Runway, and now I don't have cable, so. Oh, well.
Well, after all that salt-of-the-earth talk, I didn't expect you to be another dollar-chasing gentrifier.
Miles, Fred Andrews is a working man who lives in the real world. I think Fred's bid was refreshing. In fact, I'd like to award him the contract. I'd like to, Fred, but the buyer's already in the process of accepting another bid. It would take 2 shareholders' signatures to stop the process.
Yeah, so it's just really awkward and uncomfortable, and everybody's parents are the worst, and Josie's sad, and Archie's just a dum-dum. Archie's the biggest dum-dum.
Yeah, but Hermione has a plan, because Luke Perry doesn't know that it's the lodges who are buying the property.
And Veronica doesn't know that she is a shareholder.
So Hermione says to Veronica, hey, surprise, you're a shareholder. And so if you and I agree to give this to Luke Perry, then he'll get the contract. And Veronica's like, so that you can make out some more? Is that what this is about?
And Hermione's like, no, totally, but no.
Yeah. And Hermione's like, well, will you stop making out if I agree to do this? And Hermione's like, nope. And Veronica's like, all right, well, go fuck yourself then.
But Hermione's a shitty person, and the second Veronica walks out the door, she signs her name.
Yeah.
You shitheel.
Right. And then Luke Perry, who is very good at just kind of innocuously putting his foot in things at the end of the episode, says to Veronica, hey.
Well, I was just telling your mother, that Sodale contract was awarded to Andrews Construction.
Veronica's all, Mom, you shady bitch.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mr. Andrews. Looks like you won.
So how many awkward and uncomfortable things has Luke Perry said? Let's see. He told Jughead, oh, sorry I fired your dad, but business is business.
He said to Miss Grundy, after all you've done for my son, it's the least I can do.
And now this. Oh, Luke Perry.
Never change, Luke Perry.
Never. Because you are the glue that holds this TV show together. I don't care what anybody says. You are the greatest.
You make me feel safe when I think about you.
So there we have it. There were 3 story arcs. All of them were batshit crazy. I would say that the Polly arc was the craziest of all.
Yeah.
Even though we called the pregnancy, but we totally didn't call her being in like a nunnery.
That's true.
Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have been like, oh, wait, this is still like 1950s mentality in 2017 with oversaturated colors. Of course she's in a nunnery.
What did you think of this episode overall?
I think overall this was a solid B+.
Yeah, I agree.
It wasn't the best of the best, but I think a lot of stuff happened, and I've been waiting for stuff to happen. I don't think as much happened last episode. They were sort of bringing us to this point where just shit exploded, and there was making out and a car on fire and mascara product placements. So that was Riverdale episode 6, or chapter 6 rather, Faster Pussycats, Kill.
Yes. So I don't think I have a new theory as to who did it after this, so we can skip over that. How much the worst is Archie this week? Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not the worst at all and 10 is really so much the worst that you might as well, basically you're guaranteed to be married to another person who is also the worst at the end by the time you're an adult in Riverdale.
Oh, this is tough because I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think he was pretty fucking shitty. I don't like how he treated Veronica, and I really don't like how he treated Val either. I think he was being a fucking selfish bastard, but that's sort of his MO. Like he's a fucking selfish bastard.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, he wasn't the center of this episode, so I didn't hate him as much as I could have. How about you?
I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I just think, at one point, Veronica calls him a ginger Judas.
Oh, I liked that.
With no integrity. And I thought, you know what? That's accurate. And the thing is, like, he just has no, it just doesn't really even occur to him that the things he's doing.
No, nothing registers to him. I think because he's so selfish, he doesn't even notice.
Yeah. So I'm going to give him a 9. I thought he was pretty bad in this episode. Like, I don't think he did anything particularly good in this episode. The fact that he thought of Luke Perry was the only thing that he did that I liked.
So that brought him down from a 10.
Well, yeah. I think to be a 10, he will actually have to kill someone.
Well, we never know.
Right. I'm not ruling it out. That if in the finale it turns out that Archie is the murderer, then I will pull out the 10. But it does bring him down from a 9.5.
I want to know where Jellybean is. Is Jellybean with the mom?
Mm-hmm.
And if the mom and Jellybean are somewhere, how are they letting their brother and son live in school?
Right.
Like, what the fuck? What is with all these absent parents? Is there an island of absent parents?
Yeah.
Off the coast of Connecticut?
Well, it's in the middle of the river.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. It's just a bunch of absent parents going like...
Yeah, the island of misfit parents.
I'm a dentist.
Nobody wants a Luke Terry.
Oh, that was bad. So are we still enjoying Riverdale?
Yeah, this one, I also, like I say, yeah, or like you said, B+ I think was about right for this episode. And I would have liked to have enjoyed the Josie and the Pussycats plotline more, but actually I think the Betty and Jughead plotline was the one I liked best, but it was enough there to keep me interested. So yeah, I'm still generally getting out of this what I want to. Yourself?
I think it's trashy, and I love trashy.
Yes.
So I'm having fun. It's I don't watch a lot of shows like this, so it's been fun.
Well, I guess that brings this episode of The Midnight Ride of Paul Riverdale to a close.
Oh, snap!
And thanks for listening. Thanks for donating to the Patreon. We really appreciate it. We'll be giving shout outs on our next episode of Love You Like Crazy to all of the backers. So look forward to that if that's something that you would look forward to. Next week, we'll be talking about Chapter 7, In a Lonely Place.
Dun, dun, dun.
So that sounds real angsty and hopefully will be fun. So, yes. Also, I learned recently that LifeMark is planning on releasing some episodes on the Patreon as well. So,
yay, what are they going to be doing?
I do not know.
Awesome. I love that show.
So that'll be great. And stick around for that. And I guess that's it. I was going to say something witty, but I can't think of anything. Do you have anything, Carrie?
I think that everybody is awesome and you're beautiful and special and you all smell like unicorn farts.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving us money.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, hello.
Well, hello, Carrie.
Is it working now?
Yes.
Yay!
I hate technology.
But it's also kind of awesome because we get to talk to each other in like not close states and watch TV around the same time due to the magic of streaming. And so technology is not the worst, it's just the worst when it doesn't do exactly what you want it to do.
These are fair points.
I know. I just completely like Pollyannaed, and that's not my style. I'm sorry. Everything's the worst, and it should get burned to the ground.
There we go. That's the Carrie I know and love.
Stick to football.